Hello guys, welcome back to another episode here on European Confessions. The following story that you're going to be listening to, it comes from a translation of a message that I received. Such a sad story. The message reads like this. Hello Brother Nash, how are you? Can you please post my own story as hidden identity? I am a man and I have a polygamous marriage. I have 3 wives, but amongst 3 of my wives, I am no longer in good books with my second wife because of the things that I did. Life is not easy, especially when you have 3 wives. You might be rich, but life is not easy. My story, it goes on like this. When I met my wife, like all men, when we are poor, we do not have any choice. We'll choose any woman that will say, yes, I want to marry you. But when you start to make money, that is when you will look for the right woman of your class. This is what happened to me. When I was still poor, I just looked for this desperate woman who agreed to be my wife. And when I started making money, that was when I said, no, I want a woman of class. And I wanted someone who would please me when I will be looking at her. So when me and my first wife had 2 kids, that was when I started cheating on my wife. And when I started cheating on my wife, and then I bought a house for my second wife, I bought a house in an area that is called Mbare in Harare. As for my first wife, I bought a house for her in an area in Unit M in Chitungiza. So I had these 2 wives of mine, one whom I had married when I was desperate, then the one that I had married because of her beauty. Even though she was beautiful, Brother Nashi, my second wife, but whenever I would think about my first wife, the struggles that she had to go through at that time when I was still poor, I would then find myself going back to her house because I loved her a lot, because she was my first love. Then with time, there was this other beautiful young woman. She was working in this other salon. This salon, it is called Red Rose. So when I met her, Brother Nashi, I just wanted to do a hit and run. You know, us men that have a lot of money, any woman that you propose love to, they will tell you that they are in love with you. So we usually have these women whereby we just hit them and we run away. There was nothing that was special about her. I was just lusting after her beautiful face. So I slept with her. But when I slept with her, this woman then fell in love with me because of my money. She wanted to become my wife. She said that she didn't care if she was going to be the 3rd wife. And I was planning to dump her when she told me that, oh baby, I have fallen pregnant for you. When she told me that she had fallen pregnant for me, I thought that the world was about to come to an end. I then went with her to her auntie, and when we went there, it was my plan to dump her. I wanted her to raise our child, whilst I'll be taking care of her, but from afar. When we went to her auntie's place, I thought that the plan to dump her, it was going to work out. But when I was about to leave, she started to cry. She cried so hard and she said, baby, you cannot leave me here. Please, I want to go with you. So then the auntie suggested that it was a better idea for me to look for a place so that she can have her own room. On that same night, Brother Nashi, we then found a house whereby we started staying there. Since it was really late at night, I was only able to buy a blanket for her. Then the next day, that was when I bought a lot of furniture. But still, Brother Nashi, I didn't love her. I just lusted after her. And when I slept with her, I found out that I had no feelings for her. I loved my first wife because of who she was. And then what started to happen was that this woman that was my second wife, when she heard that I now had a 3rd wife, she said, I can't love you anymore. 2 wives was okay, but I can't have you too. She then said that when I was the second wife, I was okay, but I do not want you to have a 3rd wife. I said, it is fine. She then took that shop, because I had opened up a grocery shop for her to take care of our kids there in Mbare. So she said, this shop, you opened it up for me, you have nothing to do with it, and I do not want you anymore. So that is how I started to have only 2 wives at that time. As for my wife, I had opened up a flea market for her at this other business center that is called Gulf Complex. That is where my first wife is at right now. But the problem that I am having right now is that my first wife, she is now like a zombie, because this third wife of mine, she then went to this traditional healer. So when I opened up this shop for my wife at Gulf Complex, then my third wife became so jealous. At the same time, I had this other son of mine whom I had with my first wife. He was an entrepreneur just like me, because I have this business of selling tires and fixing tires on cars. So my son, he started his own business like his father. He would go to South Africa, buy a lot of tires. He would come with them back home and place them in his shop. So my third wife, she got so jealous that my first wife, she had a shop at Gulf Complex. My son, he had his own shop of selling tires. What I didn't know is that my third wife had gone to this other traditional healer. When he went to that traditional healer, they opened up her legs wide open. Then that traditional healer placed some tribal markings close to her private parts. These markings are the ones that control me. The more that I'll be sleeping with her, the more that she'll be controlling me. But as for now, there is someone who assisted me. Then that person made me to vomit those love potions that she used to cook for me. But before, I had vomited all of these love potions that she cooked for me over the years. I would do anything that she wanted me to do. I ended up letting her to kill my own son. What happened at that time was that there was this other time when my son had traveled to South Africa to purchase the tires to fill up his shop. Whilst he was coming back to Zim, that was when I received a phone call from the bus driver, and the driver was like, "Your son, I have him here in the bus, but things are not okay. Your son is sick. Please, can you wait for me there by the intersection? When you are coming into Harare, there is that Mbudzi intersection. That is where I went and I waited for my sick son. I was being controlled by love potions. Instead of telling my first wife that our son that we had together was really sick, he was on his way coming from South Africa. But Brother Nashi, I took my third wife and I went with her to the Mbudzi intersection. And when we saw that my son was really sick, on that same day, he said, "Oh, my love, I know this other traditional healer is a very powerful traditional healer, but the problem is that he stays out of Harare in Marondera. If we crash there, I know that our son is going to be okay." I was controlled by these charms that they had placed between her legs. Me and her, without informing my first wife, we rushed to Marondera. And when we arrived there, Brother Nashi, that was when my son started vomiting and vomiting. We were forced to return back to Harare. My son, he then passed away. So when my son passed away, I felt so much pain because I wanted him to take over my businesses one day. I wanted to know what the hell had gone wrong with my son. When I went around visiting some prophets, I was told that your wife, she has these tribal markings that are between her legs, close to her private parts. I said, yes, I once saw those markings, and I thought that maybe those markings are there so that she can taste better. You know, when I am making love to her, I can feel much more better. So I thought that this was the reason as to why she had those tribal markings close to her private parts, so as to give me satisfaction. Then that healer said, no, those charms, they are there to control your mind, to control you. Anything that you say, don't you do it. I said yes. And he then said that you have been given also some love potions, and I want you to vomit. I vomited, Brother Nashi, and then when I had vomited everything, when I returned back home, that was when I realized that even as for my wife, she gave my wife some charms. What happens to my wife right now, my first wife, she acts like she is a zombie. This third wife of mine, she is the one who is controlling my wife. They are now selling at the same shop. My wife allowed this third wife of mine to come and to do a business partnership with her. It pains me a lot, Brother Nashi, because my wife, she is more like a slow learner. Right now, if I return back home, if I stay with my first wife for a long period of time, she will say, "Oh, my husband, what are you doing? Don't you know that you have a third wife? You need to go to her so that you can please her. Please do not dump her because she loves you." And I know that my wife, everything that she is saying, it is because of the charms that she has been given. Please help me. I do not know how to help my first wife so that she can come back to her senses. My first wife, she acts like she is a little girl. There was a time when I said that I do not love my third wife anymore. She wanted to cry. She said, "You cannot do that, because if you divorce her, then who is going to marry her?" My wife even suggested that it is far much better that I bring my third wife in her own bedroom so that we can share the same bedroom. It is because of the charms that she is being given. The person who is handling all the profits that they are making at their shop, it is my third wife. I do not know how to rescue my wife from these evil charms that my third wife is using on my first wife. Dear listeners, right there was a message that I received, and we had to give you this translation. If you are married, please pray for your partner, because this thing of your husband having a side chick, it is very dangerous, because a side chick will always use some charms. That is the truth, because the side chick will want your husband and will want to have all of your properties, especially if your husband is someone that is wealthy, like our dear brother who is saying that I am a wealthy man. This third wife, I am sure that in the end she is going to do something bad to the first wife,